Okay, so this part here is on something called sine rule. Okay, so what happens here is that in your lower sec, you have learned Tuakaso. And Tuakaso is essentially how you link an acute angle in a right angle triangle to the sides of the right angle triangle. Okay, so what am I trying to say now? Tuakaso, if you remember, it is only applicable to right angle triangles, and it helps you to say, for example, link this angle over here to the sides. For example, if I tell you this is 3, this is 5, you know that sine of theta must be 3 over 5. And that can allow you to find what theta is. So it helps you to link one of the angle to two of the sides. Or for example, if I tell you that this angle is 30 degrees and I tell you that this is x and this is 5, then you know that again, you can link this angle to two of the sides in the right angle triangle by, for example, using tangent, where this is 5 over x. Okay, so the key thing to take note is Tuakaso is only applicable for right angle triangles. So what happens if the triangle is not a right angle triangle? Okay, are there still any way we can link the angles and the sides together? Okay, so the first one is called sine rule, which is what this worksheet is about. So the sine rule actually summarizes the relationship between the angles in the triangle and its corresponding opposite sides. Okay, so to start off, I'm just going to call the angles A, B, C as per what we have done previously. So this angle is A, this angle is B, and this angle is C. So what happens here is the side opposite capital A, the angle A, I'm going to label it as small a. The side opposite capital B or angle B, I'm going to label it as small b. And the side opposite angle C, I'm going to call it small c. So the sine rule actually helps to link this side and this angle together, this side and this angle together, and this side and this angle together by a very simple formula. Okay, again, it's in your formula list. Whatever I'm going to write in red is going to be in your formula list, but they don't write that it's sine rule. Okay, so this is what they say. A over sine A must be B over sine B must be C over sine C. Basically, the length of the side divided by sine of the angle opposite it must be equal for all three sides. Okay, so the key thing to take note, just like previously, you must make sure that the area of triangle, you must make sure that the angle is in between the two sides, right? For sine rule, you must make sure that the side and the angle that you put within the same fraction, they must be opposite each other. Because a lot of times, the triangle that is in the question, they are not labeled ABC for you so nicely. So when you want to use sine rule, the key thing to do is to make sure that within the same fraction, the side and the angle that you put into the formula, they are opposite each other. Okay, now this formula over here is also exactly the same if you choose to flip the fraction. For example, if you want to put the angle on top and put the side below, you can. You just make sure that all the angles and sine are above. Okay, but this is not in the formula list lah. But basically, it's the same thing like you just flip the fraction only. Again, just make sure that the side and the angle that you put within the same fraction, they are opposite each other. Okay, now I will talk about which one to use in the next question, or the word example one. Okay, and I will show you why I want to also show you the formula that is not in the formula list. Okay, now whenever you want, or after you have understood what this formula is talking about, right, there are two key things you need to remember. The first thing is you need to know when to use sine rule, because the question won't tell you use sine rule to find this. They won't tell you. They will just ask you to find this, and then you need to decide yourself whether you need to use sine rule or you can use other things, which later on you will learn other things as well, something called cosine rule and so on. So the key thing to remember is, or I will go through soon, when to use it. Okay. And another thing, after you decide that you want to use it, right, you must know how to use it. Okay. So two things to always remember: when to use the formula and how to use the formula. Okay, let's talk about the when first. Okay, now you use the formula when what you want to find and three of the things that they give you in the triangle adds up to two sides, two angles. Okay, I will reiterate this again soon. Okay, but what you want to find and three things that are given to you in the triangle adds up to two sides, two angles. Okay, so this is when you use it. Okay, now, and how do you use it? I emphasized just now already, you must make sure the angles and the corresponding sides must be opposite each other. So within the same fraction, you must make sure they are opposite each other. Okay, now the last point, I will talk about it soon. For now, I'm going to pause here for a while. Do you have any questions? Okay, both are fine. Okay, I'm just going to move on, okay? Now, let's take a look at the next example here. What example? 1. So, in this triangle over here, they give you the length of AC, they give you the length of BC, and they give you the angle BAC. Sorry, there's a typo here. Angle BAC is 59. So the question asks for angle ABC. This angle over here. Okay, now let's say you don't know what rule to use. What you must understand is, remember I said you need to know when to use sine rule. So how do you identify that this question is to use sine rule? What you want to find and what they gave you in the triangle is at least going to be two sides and two angles. And the key thing to also see is that the sides and the angles can be paired up such that they are opposite each other. In other words, the unknown angle you want to find is opposite 11, and there's another pair of angle and side. They are opposite. Okay, so whenever you see two sides, two angles, and the sides and angles are opposite each other, that's when you need to realize you need to use sine rule. Okay, so now once you realize you need to use sine rule, you need to look at your formula list. According to your formula list, A over sine A equals to B over sine B equals to C over sine C. Okay, now I'm just going to say you don't need all three fractions, you just need two of it. Meaning this one you don't really need to care. Okay, now your formula list is there just to guide you. This one happens to be ABC, but imagine if it's PQR. Okay, then you cannot just use the formula directly, right? So, but whatever it is, you just need to make sure within the same fraction, the side and the angles that you put in are opposite each other. So the first fraction over here, let's say you choose the yellow one. Then 11 is the side. The angle is what you want to find. So angle ABC. Okay, so angle is what you want to find, and the side opposite it is 11. So this is for what I highlighted in yellow. Then you continue. The side opposite 59 is 13, and you make sure you put sine 59 degrees below. Okay, so this is how you use the sine rule if you know that you need to use sine rule. Okay, then from here on is algebra already. How to find angle ABC. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to emphasize that sine 59 degrees is only just a number. It is just a number. So you treat it like a number. Okay, now, but if you're unsure, what you can do is you can cross multiply and you make sine ABC the subject, meaning 11 sine 59 degrees divided by 13 is going to be sine of angle ABC. So angle ABC is sine inverse of 11 sine 59 degrees over 13. Okay, from here, you can press your calculator. Okay, so sine inverse 11 times sine 59, then you divide it by 13. You're going to get 46.5 degrees, 1 decimal place. 46.5 degrees, 1 decimal place. Okay, so two things to take note of here. Number one, when do you use sine rule? You need to recognize that you need to use sine rule in this question. And secondly, how to use it. I took the formula, I make sure that within the same fraction, the side that I put into the formula and the angle that I put into the same formula is opposite each other. Okay, now I'm just going to pause here for a while, give you all some time to digest, and also ask me any questions if you have. Now, so some things to take note. Since you are okay, now I have a very last point over here. To decide which one of the two formulas to use, you place the unknown on the top left so that it's not so algebraically demanding. Now, what am I saying? Now, I mentioned this is the one in the formula list, and this is the one not in the formula list. Okay, now, why do I want to show you the one on the right? Now, if you know how to do this, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, but if you look at your formula list and you realize that, actually you can flip it around, right? Sine A over A equals to sine B over B. And what happens is that the thing that you are trying to find is an angle. So if you put the angle in the top left, what happens? Let me show you. Sine of angle ABC over 11 is equals to sine of 59 over 13. What happens is that you realize that number one, you apply it correctly. So the angles are and the side, they are opposite each other. But more importantly, this one here is super easy to simplify. Why? Because all you need to do is just to bring 11 over. You get sine 59 degrees over 13 times 11, right? You immediately get this step without doing cross multiplication and doing some rearrangement. You immediately get this step, and all you need to do is just to press your calculator after that. sine inverse of 11 sine 59 over 13 still. You will get the same answer, but it is easier algebraically. Okay, you won't make any careless mistakes because whatever you are trying to find is already here. Then all you need to do is just to bring the denominator over and multiply, and that's it. Okay, so I just want to put these two side by side to show you that. Okay, if you want to use the formula, by all means go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just showing you an alternative method that is slightly easier, that will make sure that you don't make careless mistakes here. So what I emphasize is, what you want to find, you put it in the top left. So let's say if I want you to find one of the sides, then use this one. Why? Because you can put it in the top left. And if I want you to find the angle, then you use this one because you can put it in the top left. Okay. Now, so that's pretty much what I want to say for sine rule. And now we're just going to practice some more questions and make sure you all can apply correctly.